Hey y'all, Chuck here with No Time to Be Sad. Today I'm going to make a video on basically about what I've learned about myself, about Thailand culture, about Thai people, about foreigners, about a lot of things that I have learned, how I've adapted, and what are my thoughts today. Still a lot of things I don't quite understand, and right now I'm at the point where I don't need to try to figure out a lot of things. But today I want to share with you some thoughts about what I've learned and adapted while living in Thailand, and some things that really aggravate me still to this day. I have a lot of free time on my hands since we've been sitting at home until our next adventure. What we like to do as Westerners, I think, when we sit around too much is we start surfing the internet and we start thinking too much and we analyze, I think, a lot. So that's what brings me to today's video. What I want also, guys, if you could, and keep it clean. I know we all have different experiences in life based on our own actions. So depending on how we are as a person, a lot of times that's the reaction we get back from other people or other circumstances. Sorry, it's loud. But so just try to keep it clean, and just remember that your circumstance and my circumstance and my opinion and your opinion and the outcomes are going to be totally different from each individual. So if you don't mind, you can share your experience on some of the stuff that I'm bringing up in today's topic, but remember to keep it clean. Okay, let's go on a little bike ride, and I'll clear my mind, clear my thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys a little bit on the way. Before I get into the specifics of what this video is about today, I'm going to go on a bike ride. I really enjoy riding my bicycle in Thailand. It's kind of like my meditation. I usually don't bring a camera along, and I just experience life here. I stop and I talk to people and I interact with people, and I have to speak to them and think in Thai language, which really helps me a lot. It's helped me adapt. But let me start out by saying, in case you guys are new to the channel, I've been here 6 years. I've not only just lived in one area in the same place the whole time, we've traveled to just about every province in Thailand. When I hit the ground 6 years ago, I haven't stopped. And my main goal was to just travel, enjoy life, really, but really just enjoy the entire country. And I've learned that it's just like any country in the world, different parts, people act differently, they speak differently, they eat differently, and yeah, I've learned a lot by doing that. And just by staying in one place, I have many viewers, I should say, that have been in Thailand 20 plus years and have never really left a certain area of Thailand. So it's difficult, I think, to really learn and experience Thailand as a whole if you just stay in one area. But today I'm only sharing my experience, and even if that's your circumstance, I'd like you to share yours in the description box as well. Let's get back on the bike. First off, before I complain or say anything about Thailand, let me complain a little bit about myself. So when I first got here, I did a lot of research like we always do. I watched videos, I studied as much as I possibly could about the language and the culture, where I was going and what was going to happen to me. I think that's just kind of our our nature to want to kind of try to wrap our head around everything and completely understand it. I had a very rough time when I first got here. I've made videos since I touched the ground here, and you guys can go back and see some of those videos back then of how I was then compared to now. But there's a lot of questions I had, and a lot of why do you do things like this, you know. But I learned later on that a lot of those things that I thought were backwards, really they only worked here in Thailand, and our mindset back in the West, it just wouldn't work here. So I know as Westerners we really overthink a lot. And a lot of that is just because it's based on our own experiences in life. So when you come somewhere completely different, it's comforting to think that you kind of got an understanding, but it's always just based on your experiences in the past. And when we don't understand something, it just gets confusing and annoying, and then we start making up excuses in a negative way. But anyway, I had a horrible time, I think, at first. And I'm lucky that I had a wonderful Buddhist wife that's totally the opposite of me, and would always tell me to stop worrying, that things always work out. And why worry, and why think too much, and why complain? Because I can tell you that complaining in Thailand will get you absolutely nowhere in Thailand. So this is the school that me and my wife we bring Christmas here every year. Now, this is one of the schools that we donate to. I feel very privileged to be able to retire at a young age, and all the stuff that I've accomplished, and now at this point in my life, I'm very thankful for that, and it makes my soul feel good to be able to give back as much as I possibly can. It's a good feeling to do that, and yeah, it's good for the soul. Let's go back on the road. Back in the States, I was always the go-to guy. If you needed something or needed somebody dependable, friends, family, business, I was that guy. Like, I was always the dependable one. When I got here to Thailand, it was like a sense of relief. Like, I could just sit in the corner. I didn't know what anybody was talking about. I didn't know what they were doing. I didn't understand anything. But the beauty of it was nobody expected anything from me. Like, they didn't expect me to eat their food, to know their culture, to speak their language. They were just happy that I was there, and it felt a little like like I was a celebrity when I first got here. It was really good. We basically decided to live Thai style prior to us moving here. We didn't know if it was going to work, and I think for most Westerners it would not work for them, but we decided that that's what we wanted to do, because we wanted to spend the next part of our life just traveling the world and experiencing life as it comes, not be anchored in somewhere. So I, to this day, I really love my Thai family, and I really enjoy the Thai style of living. We chose to do that. Will it change in the future? Who knows the future, right? But as I get comfortable there, not having to deal with people pulling me in every direction, I found myself getting a little bit depressed. Like, I felt really alone. Like, all I had to talk to was my wife, and she really doesn't overthink. And when I have too many questions, she's like, "Why are you asking that?" So I didn't have anywhere to go. So I started riding a bicycle, and along with going to school and stuff like that, I had a lot of help from my Thai teacher with stuff. But I got to where, man, I just, I don't know, I just feel so alone. And I'm not the type of person to reach out and go want to hang out with other foreigners. I never was that person back in the States, And I'm really not that person right now. I really enjoy my time, you know, but yeah, I felt really alone at first. Oh, and when I say we, I mean me and Paige, my Thai wife. We've actually been together, we've been married for over 15 years now. We actually met in the United States. Paige, my wife, has really spent most of her life in America, so trying to ask a lot of questions about Thai culture. Some of them she can't answer because she left here when she was 16 years old and moved to America. So a lot of times I have to ask friends and stuff around or other Thai people my curious questions. I found other than traveling around with my wife, having a good time, enjoying life, I needed a hobby. Like I needed something to do other than hang out with her and just roam around the planet. The bicycle was good exercise, but I started YouTube way before I moved to Thailand, but it was really nothing. And it was just something for me we wanted to keep a kind of a catalog of our travel trailer adventure. And then when we came to Thailand, I wanted to show my friends and family what I was seeing in Thailand. It was awesome. But when I hit 4,000 subscribers, that's when everything changed for me. Sorry, it's a little shaky. That's when everything changed for me. And I started realizing that I was actually helping people. And my experience was really, they were able to see Thailand through my eyes like they were actually here. And a lot of people boosted my confidence to keep continuing to make videos. So that's where I am today. I really enjoy helping people as much as I possibly can and showing them, I think, my life, my experiences, but the less things that we have in life, the more empowering life is. Like life really is super easy when you don't have a lot of luggage, you know, when you only have your carry-on. But I want to talk to you now about some of the things that kind of aggravate me about Thai culture, and maybe some ways that I've overcome that. We've had over 20 million views on our channel, so we have gotten a lot of response, a lot of comments, a lot of people sharing their experiences on our channel. We have kind of a generic thing about a response from what's happening here, and generally it ends up being, well, they're just racist, they don't like foreigners, uneducated, pretty much kind of the same thing in a lot of the comments. But I think the reason for that is when we don't know something, instead of trying to rationalize things or try to see another side to a story, we just automatically just go to, oh, you're stupid, and that's it. End of story. You're just dumb. But really, that's not the case here, and I can understand how you get that feeling that, you know, that they don't want anything to do with you. But I think a lot of it is that they don't really know what to say. There's a thing here called losing face, and you don't want to ever lose face, because it's kind of like being disrespected back where you come from. You don't want to be disrespected. I don't think anybody really wants to do that. But there are a couple things that really aggravate me a lot about the culture. And I think the best thing to do is ask another Thai person. One thing that I've kind of noticed in Thailand as I've been here for a while is that when Thai people, they see a foreigner, really just me, I'm just going to talk about my circumstance and what I see. If I'm sitting somewhere at a table with my wife and people come in, and let's say the restaurant is full, they won't sit next to me. Like they'll do everything they can to try to not sit next to me. Or if I'm standing somewhere and Thai people come into a hallway or a room, they'll think twice about either coming in or pretty much try to ignore me as best as they can by walking around me. And I don't quite understand. And it's like, do I smell? I don't understand what would drive them to want to, like, for instance, if I'm sitting at a table and there's the only table is outside and there's one right next to me, they will choose to sit outside instead of sitting next to me. And it kind of, I don't know, we just don't understand. And I have a couple of ideas of what it might be, but I want to ask Jack. So what do you think about, I know you may or may not have the answer to this, but from what I'm saying, what do you think might be the reason for that?
Why they have to like avoid or act like that, right?
Yeah.
Because our language is Thai language, and many people cannot speak English, right. And this is my experience when I was young, when I was not able to communicate with foreigners in English.
Great.
Sometimes I'm afraid that some foreigners, they're gonna greeting or they're gonna say hi to us, and we cannot respond to that kind of questions. It feel kind of weird sometimes.
Is it like inferior on your part? Maybe do you feel like you don't want to feel like not smart?
Yeah, sometimes it can be that because we don't know what you're trying to say. We don't know what you are trying to speak with that, and sometimes they may not be able to help you in that some situation. And yeah,
so it's nothing ugly, right? It's not like you just don't want to be around us because you don't like us.
No. And I think right now it's quite changed comparing to my like 10 years ago when people could not even can communicate with foreigners.
Okay.
Many students, many workers, they can communicate with foreigners.
Very good. That was kind of the answer I was looking for. I was hoping it wasn't because I smelled funny. Okay, Jack, I got one more that really bothers me the most. And the reason why is I came to Thailand wanting to learn the culture, try to adapt. I know I'm never going to be Thai, but I went to school to try to learn Thai language. I can read and I can write Thai language, and I can speak. I can hold an okay conversation. I know I talk like a 4-year-old most of the time, but I can pretty much ask you something initially pretty clear and concisive. Some of the same stuff I've asked many people, but when it comes to certain people, and this happens to me mostly when I'm with my wife. When I'm by myself, I never get this because they don't have the opportunity to, but I'll ask a question in Thai and their response will be directed exactly. They'll listen to me and then their response will be exactly to my wife. They won't acknowledge, they won't answer me, they'll answer my wife. And if I was to do that in America, where if you asked me a question and my response was directed to your wife, it would be extremely disrespectful for that. But it's like I took the time to say it to you in your language, and this is the response that I get. Like I don't even want to be here and purchase whatever I'm doing at that moment. So is there anything you could make me feel better about that experience, Jack? Jack's laughing, so I guess he's got a good answer for that.
Yeah, I think this kind of situation always happen when you guys in like a restaurant or some place that you have to meet like the serviceman or the waiter, right?
Yeah.
I think the first reason would be like they're not sure about your accent. I mean your Thai accent. Sometimes like intonation or pronunciation is quite difficult, and if they want to make sure that, for example, about your dish, about your information, about your menu, if they want to give you the correct thing, they have to make sure with the one who can speak Thai.
Well, some instances, not all of them, they completely understood what I said because the response that my wife gets from them is the answer that they should have answered me. So instead of answering me, no, we don't have that dish or we don't sell that item, they only tell my wife and not me.
Or your wife is more believable.
I think we overthink a lot, Jack, but you know, it just comes from our culture. Like we would, like, let me ask you a question. So if I was to directly, you were to ask me, hey Chuck, well, I don't know a specific question, but you just asked me a question and I asked your lady friend, no, I answer your lady friend without even looking you in the eye, my response goes to her. So would that bother you at all if that scenario happened to you?
It bothers me. You know, sometimes when not only like a foreign couple and also Thai couple, sometimes when I ask the patient or customer, and I mean we are talking in Thai, but he or she responds to the other one. Sometimes I feel weird, like what happened with me, right?
Yeah.
I do understand the situation, but you know, I think most of them they lack the confidence. They lack the confidence, and they're not sure about some. I have to say frankly, sometimes they're not sure about your Thai accent. You know, some intonation or some word is quite close, and they need to make sure.
Okay.
I think.
Well, that's a great answer. I really appreciate that. It does make me feel a little bit more better, even though it's a little aggravating. So I think I don't want to be insulting to other people to think, well, the problem is you don't have enough confidence to look me in the eye. But sometimes I feel like that might be the case, and it's nothing. It's a language barrier for sure. And even though I asked them a question clear and concise in Thailand and Thai language, they may not know how to go into an in-depth conversation with me.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that's the case. But anyway,
you know, sometimes even I myself, when I speak to some foreigners that they can speak Thai fluently, some word I have to think that is this word too more specific or to that. I mean, I think to think about the word that easy to communicate with them. You know, some word.
I really always appreciate your time, Jack. You're always so good to me. I really appreciate that, and I hope I never wear out my welcome. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
So yeah, when I talk to my friend Jack, I kind of feel a little bit better. He's kind of younger generation in Thailand. I think the younger generation is going to change Thailand quite a bit here pretty soon. I'm pretty positive about that because nowadays people know how to do research. They don't just take it for what it is a lot of times like the older generation. But I think a lot of it is like what Jack said, it's lack of confidence. But we have that in all cultures, in ours too. So typically you wouldn't rush up to a Spanish person and start speaking your 3 or 4 words of Spanish because you might not know how to respond if he answers you. So I get it, and we got to leave our pride at the doorstep too when we come into Thailand. But those are the couple of things that really bother me the most. Most foreigners, almost all foreigners in Thailand don't speak Thai language. Almost none of them. Certain areas where expats thrive, the Thai people understand our needs for the most part and can speak a little bit of English. Of course, I think they kind of have to if they want to be successful in that area where there's a lot of foreigners. But what I have learned is that Thai people are very happy to have us around. And mostly when we're not in the tourist areas, I see, and I can understand, sometimes I wish I didn't understand, the tone is a little bit different when you're outside of tourist areas because, and a lot of Thai people in tourist areas, they complain about us being so demanding, always complaining about price. And they get beat up quite, not by everybody, but quite a bit it seems. So they're a little bit more standoffish, I'll say, in the touristy area. So I always try to be extra polite and try to speak to them as much as I can in Thailand, because I want them to understand that we're not all the same. And this is one of the other things that really bothers me most about Thai people, is they all think foreigners are exactly the same. It's very strange. Like, I love spicy food. Like, I really don't want it plain. But if I ask for spicy, it's just a little spicy, because they just assume that my spicy is not the same level as their spicy. I don't think they quite understand that they grow chili peppers in the southern part of America also. I don't think they quite get it. They don't understand, but they're just used to the normal group that are kind of picky, and they don't want spice in their food. So it aggravates me that I don't think they're all the same, but they do. They kind of think that we all have had an easy life. We have plenty of money. We have endless money, and we all like the same things, and we complain a lot. So it's very aggravating, and I try to do my best as a foreigner to try to help all of us, make them understand that we're not all the same. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job, but there's a lot of Thai people here, so all I can say is just the best thing to do, and the problem is always miscommunication. It's always a misunderstanding. It's a cultural indifference, a language indifference, and it's just, there's nothing we can do about it. So the best thing to do, and in Thai culture, the first thing that they do is smile. It's the land of smiles for a reason, because our first go-to thing is to get angry and start pointing fingers. But with them, they just smile and brush it off. Now, you probably don't want to see the other side of that losing face. So my suggestion is, when there's a misunderstanding, I know it's hard sometimes, but just smile and move along. And you'll see that your day will end up being a lot better than getting into an argument. Like, you're just pretty much going to be speaking into the air. And your day will be a lot better if you just smile it off and be the better man. But another thing with Thai culture is they don't really ever admit that they're wrong, which that becomes very annoying. Is that you'll find that when they don't know something, they'll either say something that's totally not true. They'll say they don't have it, but they'll never really admit. Now, not everybody. Again, they're not all the same, just like we're not all the same. But generically, they don't ever admit that they've done something wrong. So that's a problem for us. It's a problem for me, because integrity was the main focus on me, and my childhood was to always have integrity, and that's what I tried to instill in my children also. But I think it's your character when you can't say, okay, I did wrong, and we'll correct it later. But it doesn't seem to work like that in Thailand. But it is what it is, and yeah, you're not going to change it. Only thing you can do is be the better man and just smile it off and ask somebody else. Everybody's opinions, their thoughts, are based on their own experiences in their own life. From my experience, from my suggestion to you, from my experience, is to don't try to understand everything. Because when you try to rationalize things over here, it's only based on your own experiences in life. So you try to compare stuff, and then it becomes aggravating that it's not done the right way compared to what you've seen or what you know is the right way. I know that sounds a little difficult and maybe confusing, but the best thing I can tell you is you must be flexible, and you must be the type of person where you just brush things off, right? Just smile and walk away. Don't always try to be right. Don't always try to prove your point. And just let things happen. Eventually, I'm telling you, things will start to make sense to you. Not all things. I don't think all things here can make sense to us. But a lot of it does make sense. But the best thing you can do is just take a deep breath. Realize that you're on the other side of the planet. Everything is totally different here. But it's not just us. It's not just Thai people. It's everybody in the world. They think about us in the only way that they possibly can, what they've seen on TV or their own personal experience. There's no way that they could possibly know the differences in all of us. And there's no way we could do that to them too. So we can point fingers at who's to blame a lot of times, but we just gotta brush it off. And we are gonna have a bad day everywhere, anywhere in life. But we need to realize that we just got to realize that it's easy here. Just forgive and forget. มาจากยูไนครับไปไหนไปไหน
one ใหญ่
Oh, okay.
My home is one ใหญ่
ปันอยู่
Where are you from?
อยู่ThatPhanom ครับ
ท่านพนม
ThatPhanom
ไปเคยผ่านเขาคอ
ไปเที่ยวเขาคอวันนี้ไทยวิดีโอไปมุกดาหาร
อยู่บ้านควิกเลย
No, ฝรั่งแข็งแรง
ไปควิกเลยยี่ห้อSE
Yeah. How far do you ride today? How กี่กิโล
แกงกระเบาวันใหญ่ทเวน12
Okay. Today I go 110. 100.
Go and back 22.
22. Okay. Very good.
Oh,
I have a Twitter.
Let's go.
I have a Twitter bike at home, a road bike, not a ภูเขา จักรยานถนน Twitter มีอยู่บ้าน
Okay.
มีจักรยาน2 คัน
Same 2 คัน
2 คัน Okay.
And you, what your name?
My name is Chucky.
Chucky.
ใช่ถูกแล้ว
Your nation?
America. American, yeah.
You learn name.
Run. Okay.
ROEN.
ROE. Run. รอรัวนอนู
No.
Run.
Oh.
รอรัว How do you spell your name? Run. รอรัวสระอูนอนูถูกไหม
รอเรือ
สระเอย
อหญิง
ยอยิงโอเค
สิ่งเดิมจำเริญฤทธิ์
ไม่ได้
เอาเริญมิดเดิน
Mr. Ran, okay. Very nice to meet you.
Oh,
Nice to
thank
meet
you.
you. Okay, ครับ Guys, I'm going to end today's video. I thank you so very much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Got a lot of awesome videos coming up. I still love it here in Thailand. I really do. I love it a lot. I don't think there's any place right now than I'd rather be is here. I think it's mainly because I'm pretty flexible. I forget things like really instantly. I don't carry things with me. I live my life pretty much basic. Like I don't have a lot of things to carry around with me from place to place. I'm not anchored in with commitments, with a home. Whatever happens in Thailand, as long as I have a passport, I can pretty much do what I want to do. So for me personally, it makes my life easier that way and more flexible. And I'm not really too concerned about everybody's business around me, because if I don't like where I'm at, I can easily move. Easily move. Anyway, guys, thank you for sharing your stories down in the comment section. I really do appreciate that. We're headed to Khon Kaen with the ladies. I got to take my mother-in-law to get her annual checkup at the Khon Kaen Ram Hospital. I want to bring you guys along for a little road trip adventure. I hope you come with us. We'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.